Leslie, what's your phone say?
What?
What's your phone say?
1 minute. Yeah, you gotta have a
1 minute.
1 minute, we got a 4 minute, 4. And we've got 5.
Yeah, you got it.
Unless my math is wrong, 4 out of 7 is quorum.
You can come up here. See if it is. You can just go sit back there. Yeah, he has to. You sure? I just need to. But don't be saying precious, you need to go to family business, you don't have that heart. Change your heart there, precious.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Is it on time there, Leslie? Perfect. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna check and see who is here today. Richard Black.
Here.
Janet Millerschmidt.
Here.
Mary Jane Flowers. Doreen Parmley.
Here.
Peter Beasley. Marilyn.
Here.
Myself. Okay, that gives us a quorum. That's 5 out of 7. We're calling the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Let me read what we're doing here today. The purpose of this meeting is to address a technical defect in the process relating to the rezoning of the RBT property. Our new zoning ordinance has a provision in it that reads that the Planning Commission and the Town Council have to make certain findings in connection with a rezoning. While it is arguable that our original action implied, I don't even know that word, that's a really good one, address those considerations, we did not do so in a literal sense, and because of the great public interest in this rezoning, we want to make sure we do it right. Section 1207 of our zoning ordinance states, C, grounds for amendment. The Planning Commission in its review and recommendation and the City Commission in its deliberations shall make their findings with regard to all of the following grounds for an amendment. Number 1, the amendment is in agreement with the general plan for the area. Number 2, the amendment does not violate the legal grounds for zoning provisions. Number 3, it has been determined that there will be no adverse effects upon adjoining or adjacent property owners unless such adverse effect can be justified by the overwhelming public good or welfare. Number 4, it has been determined that no one property owner or small group of property owners will benefit material from the change to the detriment of the general public. And number 5, it has been determined that conditions affecting the area have changed to a sufficient extent to warrant an amendment to the area's general plan. We have researched the town records and the town does not have a general plan. State law allows us to have one, but we do not have to have one. So the provisions relative to agreement with the plan are not relevant to our consideration tonight. We've heard extensive public comment on this matter, as well as commentary and written submissions from the applicant and those opposing the rezoning. We are prepared to hear further comment prior to taking action tonight. Except for the applicant, who should be allowed a little bit more time to address the project, we will limit each commentator's time to 3 minutes as we have in the past. At the close of the comments, we will take action on the issue of whether to recommend this rezoning to the town council. Our recommendation is only that, and even if we do not recommend it, it still will ultimately be decided by the town council. All right, let's move on. New business, zoning map amendment R3 to C3. And I'm gonna go to you, Garrett, on that.
Should we hear from them?
Just what is it, what we are doing today?
Sure, so we're reviewing the request from RBT to rezone a portion of the property from R3 to C3 zone.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's.
On behalf of RBT, that is exactly what we're requesting, the rezoning from R3 to commercial zone, which we have now been through 2 other times previously. Thank you.
All right, shall we hear, let's hear from RBT. You guys wanna present your case? I know we've done this before, but.
I don't know what else to say. This has been going on for a long time. We bought this as commercial property, and, everybody says R3, so we're here tonight to, make sure it's zoned right and done right. It's gonna be a truck stop. There's a truck stop next door, and it's gonna be more than a truck stop. It's gonna have Taco Bell, everything else in it, but everybody knows what it's all about, and I don't understand why that we're here tonight talking about it, because I thought it was a done deal, and, it was voted 5-0, and I don't understand what else to tell anybody. I mean, the city done it, we bought it as commercial, and we went back and tried to straighten it up, and here we are tonight talking about it again. I don't understand. I'm lost.
Understood.
I would like to add, this is a project that is gonna provide not only income to the city, which ultimately will assist the public.
Hey, Rusty, can you, come up here to that fabulous microphone?
I'm sorry, I thought I was loud enough.
Well, I'm not saying that you're not.
This is a project that's not only gonna provide income to the city, but it's also gonna provide jobs and keep people from having to leave the mountain to try to find work elsewhere. And that's one of the problems I would imagine that we have, is people are having to leave this mountain on a daily basis in order to find work. This is gonna provide an awful lot of jobs. And the plan that has been developed in order to appease and ameliorate all of the issues with the public and with the city, the plan is gonna be beautiful. It's going to be a real, something that's a pleasure to look at, and something that's gonna be a pleasure to visit, because this is not, as Mr. Kilgore said, strictly a truck stop. This is a travel center. It's gonna be also for families. Your families may be coming up here and stopping there. They're gonna stop to eat, they're gonna stop to buy fuel, and they're gonna maybe be other travelers coming through, and they're gonna buy things. And if they stop there, then they're gonna go to other businesses, potentially. And if they go to other businesses, then other people are gonna make money in this town, which keeps income in this town. That's part of the problem Monteagle has as a small town on the top of a mountain, is keeping things here, rather than seeing them go to Chattanooga, to Murfreesboro, to Nashville. This project can be built elsewhere. We had the possibility of building it in Marion County. They wanted it. This mountain is the best place for it. And this mountain and this community will benefit more from it than Marion County will, in our opinion. And that's precisely why we haven't canned the whole thing, having now gone through it now for the 3rd time, and just gone to Marion County and done it. File whatever lawsuits we needed to file and move on down the road. We wanted zone C3, commercial, because that's how we bought it. That's how it was presented to the public. That's what Mr. Kilgore and RBT's members saw before they purchased it, that the city had rezoned it commercial. Folks, that opens a window y'all may not see, but it's there. And it's a serious window. Now, we've been nice. We've been trying to accommodate everybody. We've done everything anybody wanted to try to make everybody understand that this is gonna benefit the town and a lot of folks. And we run into stumbling blocks and roadblocks and lawsuits everywhere we go. Well, you know what? We're not afraid of the lawsuits. Not afraid at all.
Get ready for
What
them.
we can't understand is what the big deal is. You got the pilot sitting right there behind, and several of the neighbors are right behind the pilot. The pilot's been there for years, and in a different form that wasn't so nice previously. I never heard anybody gripe about it. Here we're talking about a multi-million-dollar project that's gonna benefit this town. Now, we are asking that it be rezoned commercial tonight. Thank you.
Before I come here tonight, I called the engineer and asked him a few questions, and I've never been talked to so bad in my life. He said, Rodney, you're a smarter person than what you're asking me. I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, I'm the engineer, I'm responsible for that project. He said, I don't care if there's 50 engineers, 50 this, 50 that here tonight. He said, I'm responsible. He said, after the city gives you a site plan and signs off on it, that's when everybody else will be contacting you and me both. TDOT, people like that. He said, I can't do nothing, they can't do nothing, you get a site plan. He said, I'm responsible for everything that goes on there. I said, yes, sir. He said, go out and look at your little book out there, you know, the site plan thing, and see my name. I'm responsible. I said, I understand that, Ken. He said, I ain't going to talk about it no more. It was zoned that way. I looked at it when I started engineering. I done my homework. I didn't take nobody's advice for it. I didn't ask nobody. I checked it out myself. He said, I'm responsible. I said, yes, sir. He says, it don't matter what nobody says when the city passes it or that, you know, whatever y'all do. He said, you gotta go by the city laws and the state laws. I don't care if you want it that way, the neighbors want it that way, I want it that way, it's the law, and I'm gonna go by the law. He talked about himself, and that's the way it's gonna be done. And I said, okay, yes, sir. He said, you know, you talking to me about it no more. The party's over, he said. I'm gonna go by the law, whatever it is. I said, yes, sir, I understand. He said, you can't do nothing about it, they can't do nothing, we're gonna go by what's on that plan when it gets passed, and that's it. I said, okay, we're going by the plan. I didn't have no more to say to him. He said, it's over. And he said, don't keep talking about it up and down the road and giving people hope. There ain't no hope. You can't stop a development if it's by the rules and by the law. He said, I go through it at Murfreesboro, Nashville, Airport. He said, if it's by the law and done right, nobody can stop nothing. I said, yes, sir. He said, I'm the engineer, and you gotta listen to me. That's all I need. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I know we're having Groundhog Day here, but, okay, we need a timer person. Who's got their phone with them? Precious? You wanna do a timing? Sure. All right, let's do it. All right. Turn it on. I know that we have a large book, and I think we have perused this ad nauseum, but everyone on the planning commission has one, but whoever wants to give their 3 minutes, it is yours to take.
If we're asking for comments about the binder that you received,
I actually,
Yes. I mean, if they want,
this is the site plan one that
Okay.
has that, but it has all the reasons that we've heard for several months now. But we're open.
I guess I'm asking, is this the binder that I understood the city received from the attorneys for the neighbors who are objecting to this project?
we received that from the neighbors. They dropped it off, Debbie, when was it that you distributed? It may have a date in
It's
it.
May 4th.
Yeah.
I will make a comment after having perused that pretty thoroughly and having copied it myself. Mr. Waller is projected as some sort of expert on everything, including cooking chicken soup. Mr. Waller is an engineer, but he's not the engineer of the RBT project. He's not the engineer of the sewer system in this town. He's not the engineer of the water system in this town. He's not an expert on cancer caused by pollution. He has basically been put up in this binder as an expert on everything, and he's not. And most, if not all of what I see in there is pictures and graphs that don't establish anything necessary to a resolution of this project. I don't get it. I don't know what they intend to do with it, but I really don't care. Mr. Waller is not an expert on everything that they've got in that book, by far. I know Mr. Waller, I respect his qualifications as an engineer, but that's not what they put in there. Thank you.
One of the things that, I'm Billy Bass, I live at 521 Loxenheiser Place, if anyone doesn't know where it is. A planning commission cannot make their decisions based upon the fact that revenue and jobs we brought to this town. You have to take into consideration the ordinances that are laid before you. And the reason we're here for the third time tonight is because we keep changing the ordinances to accommodate a site plan. We had the things in place that were there to protect the city, protect the citizens of this city, but yet we continue to go back and readdress them and change them to accommodate something that people in this town don't want. Now, I would not say that Mr. Waller is an expert on everything, but he certainly is a West Point graduate and has practiced as a structural engineer for over 50 some odd years. And I don't think that Mr. Leonard has the qualification to decide who can be an expert, who can. That's what judges are for. You know, if he were a judge, he wouldn't be an attorney. So, you know, we have things that we we believe are valid arguments. We do not believe you can drive up and down this street today. There are employees wanted signs all up and down this daggum town. The site plan or the traffic study claims it's not going to be any more increased truck traffic at this exit. Okay, let's go with that and say it's not. Then why is it going to bring any more revenue to the town then? Because what you're going to do is essentially split the revenue that the pilot has right now between two different entities. You're not going to bring in additional revenue. You're going to split what's already here between two different sources. Also, I would add too that I don't believe, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that the money that's going to be generated from this truck stop, if it's built, is going to go into the coffers of Monteagle. It goes to Marion County first, and they decide what we get from that portion. Now, we've talked about, and it's been said openly on social media and even in this room before, that they think it was going to be generating somewhere around $18,000 a month for the city of Monteagle. I mean, I don't know much about city budgets, but I would think $18,000 a month would do a whole lot for this town. But I would be interested in knowing what the gross revenue annually for that projected truck stop is going to bring in. And see if you feel like it's a fair number between what they're going to bring in and what we're going to be getting as a community. You know, I'm still opposed to it, and you know, we've sat in this room listening to veiled threats for 8 months now, and that's what courtrooms are for. So we'll find out later on if there's any validity, not only in that, but the other statute stuff that we have.
All right, would anyone else like to say their piece? Okay, engineer?
That's the conversation. Okay. Do you have anything to say tonight, Travis, if there's no question? John? John is our public utility director in case any business reason he's here or not. And Travis is our engineer.
Okay, Garrett?
Now, I believe that my previous review for this zoning request suffices. Nothing has materially changed between January and now. The initial review is in your packet. The property owners have clearly expressed their intent for this property, and the proposed use meets the requirements for the required zoning district. But to review, the property owner is requesting to rezone approximately 4.6 acres of the property from R3 to C3 in an effort to eliminate the split zoning and be able to fully utilize their property. I believe it's worth mentioning that the applicant is not fully utilizing the property on question. Approximately 70% of the property in question will either be in the wetland itself or part of the buffering from the wetland. The remaining 30% of the property in question will provide truck parking spaces, landscaping, and a screening fence of a suitable height and material. After further consideration of this rezoning request, deliberation with town staff and the town's attorneys, I do not see any legal reason for denying this rezoning request, as it meets the standards set forth in the town of Monteagle zoning ordinance. And further, all investigations and reviews by state agencies and town officials have not resulted in any findings that would prohibit or discourage the development as proposed.
Gotcha. Excellent, thank you so much, Garrett. I will entertain a motion.
We've heard substantial evidence from both sides concerning the rezoning. Our rezoning ordinance, section 1207, requires that the planning commission make certain findings in connection with the recommendations of a change in the zoning of a parcel to the town council. C, grounds for amendment. The planning commission in its review and recommendation, and the city commission in its deliberations, shall make their findings with regard to all of the following grounds for the amendment. 1, an amendment is in agreement with the general plan for the area. 2, the amendment does not violate the legal grounds for zoning provisions. 3, it has been determined that there will be no adverse effects upon adjoining or adjacent property owners unless such adverse effect can be justified by an overwhelming public good or welfare. 4, it has been determined that no one property owner or small group of property owners will benefit material from the change to the detriment of the general public. 5, it has been determined that conditions affecting the area have changed to a sufficient extent to warrant an amendment to the area's general plan. I move that we recommend the rezoning and the connection therewith. Find, relative to items 1 and 5, there are no general plans for that area. Relative to item 2, this rezoning does not violate any legal grounds. 3, relative to item 3, that an overwhelming public good justifies the adverse effects on the residents of the adjacent area. Relative to item 4, that the benefit to the applicant property owners will not be to the detriment of the general public.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Richard Black,
Yes.
Janet Miller-Schmidt,
Yes.
Doreen Parmalee,
Yes.
Marilyn Rodman,
Yes.
Ava Michelle Russell, yes. That gives us our vote unanimous, except for the 2 members that are not here. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. All those in favor? All right, let's do it. Thank you so much for attending.
Slightly bigger.
What's all that stuff?
Everything was videotaped from last year.
So that is the Mr. Waller.
Presentation along with photos, contamination.